Terry hears it, just so you know.
Okay. So let's just say they completed everything in 90 days and then 6 months go by and they haven't focused on real estate at all. There should be at the very minimum a mandatory list of some of those items that they will have to redo, like those expire or something, or just they have to meet with the broker before their first deal so that we can then go through what's important to us that they fully understand before they engage.
Okay.
Something like that, just, so that it's kind of covering both bases. We don't want to make them start over the entire program, but maybe it's just you meet with the broker. If you graduate or if you completed all of these things in 90 days and you haven't done anything for, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you have to meet with your broker before you can re-engage, something like that.
See, and I like that. I do think that is a tracking nightmare. I don't know how you can, figure out you went to this class now and it's expired 6 months later. Somebody's got to notice the 180 days passed, and I think that's going to be problematic. But if it involves real estate, a real transaction, a real client, I want to be involved. And it's not necessarily an ego or whatever. It's just like that's where our liability as brokers comes, is with the member of the public. And so you can do anything you want in the PC program and all that as far as training. And as soon as it involves real business, I think at some point in time, we need to have a conversation with them saying, okay, are you clear on this? Are you clear on that? Are you clear on this? And I don't have a problem having that conversation. I have a problem scheduling out 3 hours to train them on something, which is what you guys do. And so if you've got that basic training, and they've completed those things and they get to the gold level where they can actually start talking to real people. Now, as they enter into a buyer agency agreement, before they sign that agreement, are you cool with everything? It's been 6 months, but to have us involved in that conversation, I think would be good. And right now, my biggest liability is not the top producers in here. My biggest liability is the guy that hasn't done anything for 2 years and has no clue, and I don't even know who the hell he is.
Yeah.
And suddenly we get a check delivered. We have nothing in command. We have no purchase contract. We have nothing. And it's like, okay, well, let's go back and rebuild this, So like I say, I don't mind being more involved on an individual basis. I don't think any of us have time to do a ton of training classes, but for invitational purposes. And I think we're all willing to help on that. But again, my biggest thing here, and God, I talk a lot, especially when I know it's being recorded. My biggest thing here is agents getting into this business need to take some ownership of their success, period. And a lot of the things that we're saying in PC coaching or training or whatever sounds insurmountable to a lot of these people. Prospecting is like a nasty word. It's the same thing as a contract to a buyer. It's a nasty word. I've never asked somebody to prospect for 2 hours, but when I set a goal, it's something that I like. I want to help people. So I set a goal every day. I'm going to help 10 people today. It has nothing whatsoever to do with real estate. I might be shoveling somebody's walks. I might be, whatever. But if I help 10 people today, I've reached my goal. And if I can figure a way to interject real estate into that encounter, I should be given credit for a prospecting point, if you will. And so, like I say, I've gone to show houses and the people, called me and told me they were running late. I went and helped the next door neighbor shovel his walks. He goes, "What are you doing here?" "I'm showing this house." "Oh, is it for sale?" Now I've got a real estate related conversation. And I actually turned around and listed their house and sold them another one. But to put yourself in the position to have a real estate related conversation is a lot easier than prospecting. And so I think I think if you're getting some hesitation from agents because you're asking them to do 2 hours of prospecting and they don't have that time, give them the opportunity in their real job, in their day job, to help somebody and interject real estate.
Mm.
And I think that's going to get probably more real estate related conversations going. It's probably going to give them more hope. It's probably, you know what I mean? The training program shouldn't be get these things done, then you can make money, because I've seen some untrained agents make a shit ton of money. you know,
I think that was, to Robin's point, was just having those conversations and really pushing to have those conversations in real life rather than just a punch list. I think that's what she was getting at.
Yeah, and I appreciated what Robin said, and I think that this is just a piece of the puzzle, right? And part of the reason that we want this piece to be more streamlined and structural is because we need to make more room on our calendar for the things that Robin has concerns over. We don't have enough time to do it all. And as we looked at the ways in which we could help solve some of the problems, this was it, right? We were getting referring phone calls about the same thing, about this, about the BBA, this, about, right, those kinds of things. And we're like, these agents need to know this stuff before they're doing this stuff. And then that alleviates us from dealing with those kinds of issues. Now we can sit down with an agent and look at your business plan. Okay.
More
how
strategy.
Do we make
Yeah.
Yes. So this is just the first step, I think, in perfecting our program so that we can actually serve these agents better and likewise serve you better. So
I'm completely shooting from the hip here. You know, okay. And I don't want to, okay, the referral program. Okay. And I don't want to get into that. That's not what I'm talking about. But the referral program, and I've talked to both Lindsay and Mike about what you and I talked about the other day, is your understanding of the different ways the different branches and offices are working it. I did verify with the board that any agent associated with a member broker is to be an agent of the Board of Realtors. Okay, a member of the Board of Realtors. Dues are everything. The only two exceptions are, number one, a commercial. If you set up a commercial branch in and of itself, KW Utah commercial, the agents under that are not going to be using the MLS and probably are not going to be involved with the Board of Realtors. And therefore, any agent underneath that doing commercial is not obligated to join the board. Okay. And the referral is basically the same thing. Anybody under that is not obligated to join the board, provided they're not doing real estate. And my contract basically says, I understand that while I'm in the status, I'm not doing real estate. Okay. I'm not working with buyers. I'm not working with sellers or whatever, because as soon as they do, they have to be members of the board as per the board bylaws. Now, the reason I'm saying all that, if, for example, you take somebody in, Carrie, wants us to give an opportunity to everybody, and I don't disagree there, but rather than spend their $911 and have them roll the dice on whether or not they're ever going to be successful, why don't we take their $911, put it on deposit so we know that when they are ready, they are there, put them into the referral program where they're not obligated to join it, and then build an agent from there. And when they're at a certain point, activate them with the board and give them access. You're training them on using the MLS. They don't have access to the MLS if they're not a member of the board. And so a lot of these things that you're, moving back and forth. So when you get into, for example, the cardboard level, it's a very basic. I just got my real estate license. What now? Here's how to fill out a form. Here's what, all the very, very basic things you do when they graduate from that level. Now you get to start working with forms that say sample across them, and you need to start doing that stuff. And when you get to that point, go to the next level, you're allowed to join the board and use Keller Williams on your business cards and, grow yourself into production. Because if they're going to drop out because they don't have the time or they can't get through the education or whatever, save them their $911, give it back to them and say, wish you well, hope you fell, hurry back. I mean, it's whatever. But right now, it's almost like anybody with a heartbeat, we allow you to spend money that's probably tight to roll the dice. And geez, I feel worse for that than let's see if you've got it, and then,
And that's very human perspective for sure. I apologize. I have to get on a 10:30 Zoom for PC coaching. So to keep our Ignite After Dark program going, I got to get on this call.
You guys are doing good, Lori. You really are. And I know from my standpoint, and I'm sure these guys, your success is our success, and your success eliminates those Sunday phone calls that we're fielding.
Right.
Okay. And so we all have an onus in making this work. And you keep saying you got 120 people in this program and you can't keep track of everybody, and it's difficult to do. And I get that because I got 200 with the same issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we don't have what we're working on is when I say that and I'm complaining, I mean, because of the way that it's set up, we don't have a program like in Command to track some of these things that we have. There's not a system out there for the PC program. And so that's what I mean, right? It's very rudimentary and old school, where I've got a binder literally of all the agents and I'm flipping through, and there's not a great system that way. And that's what I mean, right?
Lori,
So
I have I'll follow up with you with a thought on that.
Great. Yeah. I love it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you. We couldn't do this without you. And really, if you have other thoughts, please jot them down, because I think this is just the beginning of the conversation.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, see
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.